So I'm going to start reading this book, and I've just noticed it is 1222 222, very synchronistic. I'm so excited about reading this book, The Higher Mind Awakening. It's going to be because it's just so resonant with what I do with my clients, really sort of unearthing subconscious programs, things that keep people stuck in bondage, keep them holding on to emotions and trauma that needs to be released out of the body as we bring in more soul light so they can start moving out of the imprisonment of the ego, moving into the higher cosmic mind, moving into the higher heart, and starting to live a life that they want to live and want to be in. So I'm so excited about reading this. And I do like to say, I really do like to encourage people to buy the books, to support the authors. A lot of work goes into birthing a book. There's so much, you'll see on my channel, I'm already reading a couple of Zanita's books, these spiritual teachings that are coming through that I'm absolutely loving them. I'm receiving loads of activations as I'm reading them as well. So if you can afford it, I really like to encourage people to get the book. These are teachings, right? Spiritual teachings that you can read over and over again. And once I've read spiritual teachings a few times, sometimes I'll just be like, I'm just going to randomly open it at a chapter and read the information that is there. And I usually find that in doing that, it's something that's really aligned to something that I'm facing at the moment, or some message that I need to hear. So let's crack into this book. So it says at the beginning, this book is dedicated to you, the reader. May the wisdom and light encoded in this book ignite, brighten, and expand your light. We will forever fly as one because we are all one mighty pearl. Love it. Right, let's hold on. Introduction. The mind is a tool designed to be used for navigation in the dense materialized planes of existence. Just like any tool, if used too often, then one will become dependent on that tool. When a child comes into this world, they mostly play because they are not leaning on the mental tool. Instead, they are allowing their heartbeat to shift and sway them. This is why you can feel such pure vibrations emitted from their energy fields. The mind is a scepter. This is a tool, a device. It is a physical construction, an addition to the physical body. Just like any tool in your possession, you hold control. Where you wield it is where force will follow. The force is the energy that emits from your mind. You have the option to wield it with negative spectrum vibrations or positive spectrum vibrations. No one and nothing outside of you truly controls this. That is merely an illusion. Exactly. We've got to learn to take 100% responsibility for how we feel. We don't have to give our power away if we are in an experience and we feel a certain way. If we blame the other person for it, we are giving away our power. We are choosing to say that they own our energetic field, but that's not the truth. We own our energetic field by moving into our higher mind, our awareness, our consciousness, our observing mind. We start to become in control of the lower mind, of the programs, and we can start to transmute and dissolve them through the higher mind. And we no longer have to let experiences outside of ourselves throw us around. We become the eye in the storm. An illusion to make you feel inferior when the truth is you are the hero. This life is your story to create your own journey. Each step you make creates a new footprint in the sand of time. A footprint no other can make but you. Sometimes those footprints vibrate out to touch others. Sometimes they form a solo path. However, the path is always your own. Higher mind awakening helps you gain better clarity on what the lower mind is. It's key in ascension and anchoring the higher mind. We break down the sacred coded teachings of becoming the hero through the 12 labours of Hercules. Hercules is not just one essence, he merely represents the hero expression that is found within you all. All around you are energetic waves. These waves carry patterns, blueprints that determine a mindset that you have the power to choose from. The surfer chooses the wave does not choose the surfer. It is the surfer who determines if he wants to become one with that wave or allow it to pass him by. To ride the wave, he needs his board. This board is your higher mind, and its stability determines your ride. Who you are in your pureness is not physical at all. You are pure magic that emits from the mighty void of no thing. You are the golden honey created within the mighty beehive of creation. That very beehive that was born from the void. It is in the darkness that stories are written. Take control of your mind, scepter, and weave the story you want to be told. I love that. And that's what we talk about a lot with my clients as well. We look at the story that we've told ourselves, and we start to bring in the higher mind, the truth, the light, the wisdom. And that is one thing that is central to this journey. We are the heroes. We are a hero, and as we align to that truth, we start to dissolve that lower self, that unworthiness, that part of us that believes we should suffer, that we are less than, and we start to we start to be directed by the soul. So I love that metaphor. What a beautiful way to envisage that. So Zanita says, this book is designed as a lesson from the Pearl Code teachings. So you might want to watch, I'll link, because I've also read the Pearl Codes book, the 144, which is amazing. So I'll link that at the end if you want to watch that if you haven't already. You might want to watch it simultaneously. This book is designed as a lesson from the Pearl Code teachings. It is a simple teaching from the 144 seraphim on the stage of the higher mind awakening. Just like all Pearl channelings, this book is not edited to allow the original energy of the seraphim to flow from the pages to you. The spoken words in the teachings are coded to allow the unspoken codes to ignite within self. You all have the ability to access divine wisdom. It starts with conquering the mind. Exactly. What feeds the mortal mind does not feed the spirit. What feeds the spirit does not feed the mortal mind. Mind map. As of June 2023, higher mind anchoring activation started for phase 2 and 3 light workers. Phase 2 are those who mainly awakened in the year 2000 and 2015 for most grid workers. Light 3 light workers mostly already experienced their higher mind awakening. These are the souls who awakened in the years of 1972 to 1993. The main symptom occurring now is the new mind spectrum anchoring. See mind spectrum section, so we're going to get to that. As you traverse more of your mind map, more spectrums will anchor for you. This stage of the ascension journey is for those who already mastered the knowingness of the ego mind. Some have already conquered it, while some are in the beginning stages. As you learn about the higher mind anchoring steps, it will help you determine where you are on this journey, where you are on the mind map. The mind is like a map where the only compass one can use to navigate it with is an invisible mind crystal. However, to gain access to the crystal, one must balance both the emotional and mental bodies. These bodies are located within the auric field of the human body and are known as part of the energy bodies. Yeah, I work a lot with that in my clients. You can actually get week 1 free of my Reconnection program, which is a meditation. It's a soul masterclass, and a hypnotic healing meditation. We're working on balancing the emotional body, the mental body, starting to bring in the higher mind, the connection back to the higher heart, so we can start to dissolve those ego layers of ourselves that keep us stuck in bondage, that keep us trapped into the slave system, so we can start to ascend in consciousness. A lot of clients I work with are at the beginning of their awakening journey. Some don't even realize they're on this awakening journey, don't know what ascension is. So, but obviously they're coming to me because they're ready to move into that stage. Or sometimes I do work with people that are already on that journey but are still dealing with a lot of emotions and subconscious programs that need to be unearthed, seen and healed and processed through the body. And it's such a fun journey. This is where we become alive. We came here to live. We come alive through the ascension journey. While walking the ascension pathway, you will cross many bridges. At each bridge, more of your Christos light will start to illuminate these energy bodies. It is at the moment that dust held within them will surface. In the crackling and the chrysalis we taught. When you first send out that signal to your higher self that you are ready to know who you are, light starts to drip into your crown. This highlights all stuck emotions held within you. Just as you see the dust floating when you let light into your house, so does this process. It shines a light so your higher self can see all the dust floating in your house. The cleanup process then ignites so that all those emotions rise to the surface for healing. Next to the emotional body is the mental body. The way you feel is created by your mental body because it is fed by your emotional body. This is where the saying mind over matter comes into play. The matter represents your physical body, where the mind references your mental body. Think of your emotional body like a paint palette in your hand. Each paint colour is a different vibrational frequency representing your emotions. The paint brush represents your mental body. These tools work together to paint your reality upon the canvas. Each hue of colour on the canvas is a match to the mixture you selected. In other words, the vibrations you emit are what help to paint your reality. Exactly. During the first stages of awakening, you are learning how to navigate the emotional and the mental bodies. It is through the law of action that you learn how to balance them and achieve abundance. It takes strong dedication to hold constant self-awareness of your patterns and behaviors while on your awakening journey. Everyone is born into a program of assigned levels of beliefs and structures. This is what molds the ego personality. And I'm also going to link, so I've just started a video series called Mastering the Mind as well, which will help you really bring this into the practical, into the right now, because just as she says, what is it that has changed my life the most? It is being in awareness. We have to be in awareness. We have to observe the self. When we're observing ourselves, we're already plugging into our higher minds, and we can observe the lower egoic self, and we can start to be curious about it, and we can start to then heal those energetic patterns. One huge pattern that is within this whole reality, there is many what I call consciousness viruses inserted into the collective that continue to be replayed generation after generation, and one of those is people pleasing. This is such an easy one for us to start bringing into our awareness. As children, we need to feel loved. We need to feel safe, nurtured, nourished. And often the way that we get that love is through pleasing another. When we please an adult, be that a parent, be it a teacher, be it a religion, when we do what somebody else outside of us, external to us, usually seen as being in a position of authority above us, when we please them, often we are rewarded with love, when we do not please them, when we do not act in a way that they desire us to act, that they think is sociably acceptable, that fits into these norms, then we can be punished. We can have love withheld from us. So we learn from a very young age to please others. Now, as we grow older, we don't realize we carry that program. It's buried within our unconsciousness, but it is driving many of our behaviors. I realized that it was driving me to overwork. I would take on so much work to please other people. Now, I didn't realize I was doing it to please other people. In my mind, I told myself I was doing it because I was a responsible person, because I wanted to help people, and I had all these reasons why I was taking on more and more work. But I started to realize through nearly having a nervous breakdown, it was not responsible. And what it was actually doing is, we start to learn to put our people pleasing teaches us that we do not matter, that our needs are less than everyone else's needs come before us, and that everybody else's needs are more important than our own. So through that people pleasing, through taking all that work, I was not giving my body the rest that it needed. I was not respecting my own needs. So as a child, we have that program, and that program is something that helps us to adjust. It's an adaptive behavior. It helps us to survive whatever experiences we are experiencing as a child. But as we get older, and now we're pleasing others at our own expense, then we are actually telling ourselves, I do not matter, I am not important, and I am not lovable. We are reinforcing that belief deep within us, and it's actually causing us, it's causing negative experiences to draw into our life. It's causing a lot of suppression of emotions inside of the body. Now, what I started to wake up to as well is, hold on a minute. If I'm pleasing you, and you're pleasing someone else, and they're pleasing, and everyone's just pleasing somebody else, because we're all people pleasing, because we all fear that if we don't, we'll get rejected, we won't get love, we'll get abandoned, then who the hell is happy in this situation, right? And I started to observe when I please somebody else above my own self. So when I said yes to something, when really I wanted to say no, I started to observe those situations, and I started to be curious as to why I couldn't just be honest. And the more I did that, the more I could start to use courage to be honest and start to say yes to myself more and no to the things that I didn't want to do. And in doing that, I started to prioritize my energy, and I started to realize how important my energy was, and where I put my focus, how important it was. And I stopped giving all my energy away to things that wasn't really in alignment with me. And I started to feed things that weren't. It started to change my life. It started to create this new sense of worthiness inside of me. I started to feel that I did matter, that I was important. And you start to realize as well, you don't suffer rejection and abandonment through this. And if somebody doesn't like you actually doing what's right for you, then perhaps they're not meant to be in your life. And you do start to move away from certain people as well through doing that. I did start to leave behind certain people where it was toxic. The energy was toxic as I started to put myself first more. So the law of action is how you react to the dust that is shown to you. This is accompanied by the program you incarnated into. This program is part of a mind blueprint. This is what can determine how you navigate those dust particles that appear along your pathway. Each dust particle is separated by frequency and housed in its own vibrational room. As you reach a new vibrational spectrum, it can be seen as climbing steps to the next floor, mental floors. When it comes to the mental body, look at it like a tall, multi-floored apartment building. Each floor may appear to look the same. Yet when you open each door, they are designed differently. Each room houses different colours, scents, sounds, and energetic imprints. One of the things humans explore in a lifetime is what is behind each door. The key to mastery is to not get stuck too long in each room, but to continue to explore and move up the levels. When you look at some apartment buildings, most have larger, more luxurious condos at the top levels. This goes the same from the ego layers of the mind. As you ascend the floors, you get closer to wider views. These wider views are your expanded perception of existence. Each time you raise your vibrational field up an octave, you not only see more, but you also feel more. You can feel more from the lower floors if you simply flow from one to the other. It is when you stay in one room for a long period of time that it develops into an anchor. So this is where victim consciousness keeps us hooked into a floor. The rooms are like emotions. When you suppress them, it is like spending long periods of time in that room. When you allow them to flow, it is like smoothly exploring each room and apartment floor. Suppressed emotions develop into anchors that weigh you down. This highly affects your mind. So Zanita says, emotions are the anchors for your mindset. The denser the emotions, the increase of lower vibrational thoughts in your mental field. That's right. If you've got a lot of negative thoughts going around your mind, it means you've got a lot of suppressed emotions in your energetic body. Mind blueprint. When it comes to and I was there, guys. I was there. I had to go through a deep journey. I didn't even have no idea that I had all these suppressed emotions back in my early 30s until I really started to awaken and go on this journey of healing that and healing all these I was in denial that I didn't feel good enough because it was too painful to admit that to myself, because I'd pushed that down. I'd suppressed it under people pleasing. I'd suppressed it under just trying to prove myself by working myself like a maniac. I'd suppressed it under all of these mental programs that I created to suppress all these feelings of not feeling good enough. I couldn't to feel that felt so painful. Why does it feel painful to feel that? Because it's not the truth of who you are. So it creates friction in the body because it's not who you are. You are enough. You are so much more than enough as you go on that journey and reconnection back to the true soul self. You realize that. But when I started to acknowledge it, I started to heal it. When it comes to a blueprint, you have both an inorganic design and a divine design. The inorganic design holds the key codes created and inputted by hackers. Exactly. Hijacked. I say this in my program. Our minds had been hijacked. Where the divine design is one that holds the organic original key codes created by God Source. The organic grid system is a blue-white diamond plasma spherical sheath, known today as the sword of truth. Oh yeah, baby. We've got to start wielding that sword of truth. It's going to cut through all that is out of alignment in your energetic system. So, known today as the sword of truth or the divine will. The divine will is a spoken testament by God's source, because the word is what physical earthly worlds were created upon. The word is likened to a divine command. When a person is fully connected to their oversoul, their monad, their pearl essence, then they are plugged into the organic grid system. They become solar fed via their pillar of light. This pillar can be seen as a giant white sun beaming into a pearlescent plasma tunnel upon their crown. This light then emits, so this is your crown here, guys. This light, often you look at if you look at biblical pictures, you'll see these halos around. It represents the crown. We all have this as we open up to it. This light then emits into the great pyramid known as the thalamus, so that's in the middle of the brain. Just like with any great pyramid, you also have a capstone. The capstone can be seen as the pineal gland. A capstone is an energy conductor designed to send source energy into a pyramid for it to then source a grid. The thalamus sends signals of light into the grid system known as the vertebrae of the spine. This is where DNA can then be activated by the same light stream. It then moves to the famous T cells held in the thymus to finish its full activation. This is where calcium and the pineal gland go together. I'm just going to show you that, and if you want to study that, I suggest you just pause it and have a look. Calcium is an energy conductor and key to the pineal gland for igniting these transmissions. The transmissions start with the igniting of the mind capstone, which ignites the depolarization process. Depolarization happens when a cell undergoes a shift in electric charge distribution. This process is key in order for cells to function and communicate with each other. It is during this moment that voltage gated calcium channels become activated, open, like a tunnel ready for cars to transport through. An influx of calcium ions is then able to flow into a cell, which results in production of gene expression, release of neurotransmitters and hormones, muscle contraction, activation of potassium channels, and more. When you think of calcium in the pineal gland, think of how wax hardens when it is cooled. When heat, crystals, light is added to the wax, it then melts. This newly heated fluid can now flow like honey into your body. It is the flow of your own crystals light that naturally allows this process to occur. When depolarization occurs, it increases the production of crystal, which also known as cytoplasmic matrix. Cytoplasm is where we find mitochondria. When you think of a matrix, you know it is a plasma spherical grid system programmed with key codes. These codes feed into the living energy fields that reside within it. An example is the matrix of Earth and the codes found within it. These codes are programmed and fed as a loop into the DNA of all energy fields that live upon her. Another example is the womb of a mother. The fluid held there is a plasma grid system as well. Hence the teaching in our book, Love Letters of Lemuria, where we spoke of the plasma sheath that surrounds a universal system. The cells within your human form are the micro expression of a universe. With that said, if this natural process, just like any other process seen in nature, is forced, then it will disrupt the natural flow of energy and ultimately the creation itself. When you try to force any of the steps upon the spiritual awakening path, it can cause an overload to your nervous systems. This energy then ripples out and causes a disruption in the universal system as well. When it comes to the inorganic system, if one is plugged into that, then they are programmed by that design, meaning that whatever is placed upon that system will flow into the DNA of that living being. This is where trends come into play. Think, why is it that where a person lives determines the language they speak or the way they speak it? Or why is it that clothing attire is what in one land differs from another land? This is because those people are plugged into a specific grid system. Exactly. We've all been programmed to act and think in a certain way. This is why they use these false idol celebrities, right? These people are paid so much money to do things like have boob jobs, to then try and influence the minds of the young. This is something I talk about in my program, how the body's been weaponized against us through programming that we haven't even realized is there, and like, for me as a teenager, I realized there was a movie called Weird Science where they planted the seeds when I was just 5 years old that to be an ideal woman, her boobs were this a certain size. Now that is not truth. We've all got different sizes and shapes of bodies, and all bodies are divine, absolutely divine, and should be revered and respected and loved. But from a young age, we're taught if our body doesn't look a certain way, there's something wrong with it. So that was planted in my seed from being a child. By the time I was 12, 13, and I had small breasts, and there was a big campaign out there through Hollywood, right? That's one of their main tools for programming us. And there was a campaign out there through Hollywood where they were paying stars, right, where they sell their souls, right? They're paying them money to have these big, ridiculous boobs, right? And then to plan that in this, then to show all as teenagers that you are not a woman and you are not attractive if your boobs are not a certain level, and to show boys, this is what a woman looks like, this is what you should desire within a woman, creating all these distortions in the field so that then it can get us to act in certain ways. I got so close to having a boob job because I spent a decade hating my own body. I know you'll all be able to resonate with this on some level. There's something about your body that you were programmed to hate as well. So you'll resonate with this. I had to go on such a deep journey to start loving myself again and realizing these programs that were out there. And I did go on that journey, and now I absolutely love my boobs. I love everything about them. They are absolutely perfect. My body is exactly, I learned this when I was 21, right, in my early 20s, right. I was still healing this program, but it upgraded the way I felt about my body instantly. And it's not to say that I healed everything. I didn't. It was a continual journey, but I always knew that I'd been here before. I had these memories, not necessarily memories of past life. I just knew it in my body that there was more than we were being told, right? That I was a soul. And this book came into my awareness called The Journey of Souls. And actually, when I started, recently I've started reading Zanita's books. You'll see on my channel that I decided to start a playlist called The Magical World of Book Activations, because books have been a massive part of my awakening journey. There's been certain books in my life that has synchronistically come into my consciousness that have been a big marker and a big expansion in consciousness. And often those books have come in to actually validate things I've already been becoming aware of naturally in my own body, and it's helped me to trust myself more, because we're also taught not to trust ourselves, to give away our power to everybody else and distrust ourselves. So that book, Journey of Souls, was one of those moments, and it was a hypnotherapist called, and this got me to start, I retrained in hypnotherapy, totally changed my life. Also, I do not do traditional hypnotherapy anymore. I do soul therapy, but I do use some of the techniques and tools. But this guy, Michael Newton, was regressing patients. He was an actual medical psychiatrist, through the standard brainwashed teachings of the control matrix system. And it was just something that happened spontaneously. It regressed someone into past lives, or as Zanita calls them, concurrent lives. But that's a whole new other video. But and through that started to heal all these symptoms that were showing up in the present now time. And he went on to found this amazing institution to realize that we were souls and all of this was real. And that book was talking about how when we leave our body, how it basically, one of the main messages that I heard in that book throughout many messages was that we choose our bodies. We choose our bodies, we choose our families, we choose our experiences. Our soul meticulously plans our experience in this life so that we can wake up so that we can learn certain lessons that we came here to learn. There's other elements mixed in there, but ultimately, I realised I chose my body. As soon as I realised that I chose my body, I thought, hold on a minute, I chose my body. That means my body is absolutely perfect for this life that I've chosen to live, for my destiny, for my destined highest timeline. My body is perfect. That instantly upgraded how I felt about my body, and I stopped comparing myself to other people, and I started to wake up to the programming. I wasn't fully awake to the programming there. That really started to kick in my 30s, when I really started to wake up to that programming around the body. So, think about it in your life, where they've used that programming to get you to hate your body, to use your body against you. So I'm just going to read that part again. So when it comes to what is so-called trending, right? So as they create these, and obviously, it was boobs for me, my generation. I'm 44 now, so that was, back when I was 14, like 30 years ago. Obviously I've seen those trends change to the, they use like the Kardashians, right, having those butt implants, right, and then getting all these kids now to think there's something wrong with their butts. So first there's something wrong with your boobs, then there's something wrong with your butts, and that's got even further, right? We can see that, right? We can see how they use that to get into our minds, and when we've been flooded since children with these distortions about our bodies, then it's very easy for us to then think it's our choice. We're choosing to have a butt job, we're choosing to have a boob job because it's going to make us feel better, and that is the distortion. Right, it's so clever the way they've done it, but it's not clever when you wake up and you see they can no longer control you. You start to unplug yourself out of the false matrix. You start to plug yourself back into the divine matrix. It's not even plug yourself back in, because it's an illusion that you were ever separated from it. You start to remember, rediscover your true alignment and connection. So the system we speak of is a collective human consciousness. This is a grid system that all humans can plug into. Some choose to stay connected into that system. This is their energetic stream where they receive their codes. You have others who choose to plug into their pillar of light. Yeah, that's the journey that I go with my clients. Reconstructing, replugging back into your pillar of light. This is where that more pronounced divide is being seen today. Yes, we're seeing that, right? Those who do not fully understand the trends of the masses are because they are plugged solely into their monad, their pearl essence, their wholeness. Make no mistake, there is no right or wrong here, because everything at the end of the day is divine. True. Actually, that's such an important point to say. We're all on our own paths, and each experience grows the soul in some way. So some of us are on the path right now of awakening, of waking up and replugging out of that system, and a lot of us are on that path right now. The planet is going through a planetary ascension, and many of us are going to be going with, well, I believe many of us are going to be going with the planet on this ascension. But as Anita is saying, we'll have spent lifetimes plugged into that other system. It's not right or wrong. During 2020, I wanted to wake people up. But why did I want to wake people up? Because I was in fear, because I was going through a destruction of all of my belief systems, and it was shaking my very foundations, and I was in fear that we're all going to end up in prison. So through my fear, I was wanting other people to see what I could see. I was wanting other people to wake up like I was waking up, and it doesn't work, right? That was just something I had to learn through and realize that people will wake up in their own time, that people have their own destined plans and their own paths to follow, and it's not bad and it's not wrong. It's just other learnings, and we have to allow people to do that. And actually we have to bring our focus back to ourselves, and actually look at ourselves. And if we're feeling like waking someone up, where is that fear inside of our body that we need to heal? That's what I started to realize. A good way of putting it is, imagine being in a dark room, right? You're in a dark room and you just go in and shine a torch in someone's eye. They're gonna be like, whoa, they're not gonna enjoy it, and they're not gonna thank you for it. We have to, as we ascend and wake up more, our energy just ripple out into the collective, and it helps the rest of the collective to decide if they want to plug into that new wave of energy that is coming their way. And that's why we're seeing, right? We're seeing now, we're seeing more and more people are waking up out of that false matrix. I like to call it the slave system. It also does not mean one is better than the other, yeah. It's simply a choice. And we are merely explaining the depths of this topic to you all. Look, if you are watching and reading this book with me, then I think it's safe to say you are resonating with the ascension path, or you wouldn't have been drawn to this video and this reading. If someone is trapped into the inorganic system, then they are also pulling information from the astral field. The astral field is an inorganic plane that houses all of the mental energies of the living beings on earth. All thoughts, all belief systems, teachings, and so forth of humans reside there. They reside there because this plane is fed by the collective human consciousness field. One must be able to filter through that massive hall of mirrors and illusions to access the truer higher planes of existence. When a consciousness field unplugs from the material form body, aka death, all the energies held within the mental body at that time will then transfer into the astral. When that same consciousness field reincarnates, it will pull in those same energetic waves as a magnet, right? So what we're saying there, right, when you leave this body and then you come back into another body, anything that you've not really resolved or healed, it's going to get magnetized back into your body. This is how we can carry over illusions of so-called past life trauma. This is one of the many reasons why we teach how important it is to fully feel and heal while on your spiritual journey. Yes, you don't keep bringing the baggage with you. You don't have to keep learning the same lesson over and over again. Why do so many people feel exhausted? Feel exhausted because you're replaying the same lessons over and over again. So when you choose to do that healing, to go within, then you're actually, you're freeing yourself, you're liberating yourself, you're moving back into sovereignty. So gaining a deeper understanding of feeling is key to helping transmute those energy dust balls. This will then give you more mental clarity to use for discerning those consciousness fields, to discern if the energetic waves you feel are yours or the collective. Lovely. So I'm going to leave that there for the first installment of Higher Mind Awakening. I'll link my video on Mastering the Mind too.